Good morning. It is the 16th of May 2019. This is the Money Charts channel, and in this video, I'm going to go over Bitcoin. We'll go over the markets on the right hand side, go over Bitcoin, and then talk about the Doge trade. An interesting idea, and I'm thinking, you know what? Yeah, that's how I'm going to play it. Starting yesterday. All right, DGB, the biggest loser right now, down 17 plus percent against the dollar, and 14% against that of Bitcoin. Did it ever have an incredible run yesterday? Litecoin against Ethereum. Interestingly, big move there, as Litecoin is losing almost 10% of its value since 8 p.m. last night. Down to $93. It was over 100, but okay, we've been in that area. Just hold a decent area like 80, and then and what we're doing is we're strengthening that 100 number. So now going back up there, breaking it. Now I'm even more convinced within such 8,860. I just got to check to see if my buy order get hit. It's not even close. Theta 1372, Komodo down. Let's put this back to Bitcoin. Litecoin's down 4, so that means if Ethereum is down 9, that means Ethereum's up pretty good right now. And Komodo's down a little bit. And what do you see here? 1482, 1489. I've only looked at it twice today, but they've pretty much been the same, and they haven't been the last week with Binance wallets off. I checked yesterday, but I noticed that the withdrawal was still suspended, but I'm assuming now that it's back on just because of that. We'll see. TTC down to 898. That's like whatever. That's just a small fund trade off huge volatility. And then nothing else down too big. As far as the top gainers are concerned, Ethereum, obviously, because we've seen that within the move. So maybe I'll show Ethereum against the dollar as well while we're at it. Bitcoin Cash up 1.75%. Really, let me just do a quick check on my spreadsheet. And I had 50.32. I don't think that's not going to make any big enough change for me to want to sell Bitcoin Cash for DGB because it is starting to go down. Okay then. So that's that for that part. The S&P 500 is up 1%. How about gold and silver? Gold's just hanging in there, negative zero point 0.4. Silver down just whatever, 2/3%. Alrighty, so a little bit of a down move, but oh my goodness, little. Look, it still hasn't done anything to even do any type of real retracement here with this level of support at 76.58. Well above this 18 average. And still no signs that the buyers are losing any control in this market. If we view it, the 1 hour time frame has been spectacular, and of course now it is starting to roll over. This 7,620 area is relatively big, but it's like whatever if it even breaks it. If this 61.8s or retraces about 61.8, it goes to 72.62, what would that mean on the daily? Oh, it would mean that, well, it would make it would pierce above the 18 average of highs. So by tomorrow, that would be there basically as a test there. So that shows that even a 61.8 isn't even enough today to bring this back down to such an event. Obviously, market has ran out of momentum. It pretty much has since this move right in here. But seller momentum from this point on, a little bit of move here, but then recovering. And right now, it's just been that of a little bit of a move. Now let's move on to Doge, which is the last thing I sold or bought. Well, I always sell or buy something in every trade, and I sold this. It was at 44 Satoshi, and I haven't sold anything since. Right now, I'm waiting to buy at 38. And do I got it? I'll take a quick check. The answer is no, but there's 11.8 Bitcoin, and I got 0.00 and some other numbers after that. For the strategy, I'll take about whatever percent, 20, 25% of the dojis that I own, and then I'll place them amongst this exchange of Poloniex. I'll put sell orders at every single number proceeding higher. I started at 41 all the way up, and I got up to like 50 something, 51. And when you sell, you're going to look to buy back. And since I sold 41, I sold 4 of them. I got 3 buy orders ready to go: 38, 36, and 34. Now, if they hit, well, then I'll just replace working back down. I got sell orders still ready to go at 45, 46, 47, so I'll replace them back whenever I can, 44. Technically, I'll buy less than 2 orders on the 38, but I actually have a little bit of excess to make it so my share sizes are right. Meaning I just have one sell order at like 59 with like a few thousand. That's not enough for one. But the whole point of it is, if I do that, I'll put it back up and I'll keep reducing it to that level until I run out of buy orders. Once those buy orders are done, then I'm not going to buy on there at that point. But I'll have all my sell orders ready to go. And if it keeps going lower, let's just assume we have a situation where the markets go down decent. So obviously, I got 38, 36, 34. So the previous low is where I'm last buying. So I would probably be looking to buy at about, well, if my last purchase is 34 and I have no Bitcoin left because I used all of it to put those 3 orders in. Therefore, probably around 29, 28, I'd buy, but not here. I'd probably buy in Bittrex. I would move those coins to my hardware wallet. Then I would reduce my sell orders accordingly. So if I bought at 29, I'd start selling at maybe 35 and then keep moving up. And so on and so forth. Just keep putting the buy orders below after every sale. Bigger size, like as much as I can. Try to get whatever the market's telling me. To me, this is why I was going, okay, let's just do 34, 36, 38. That's what I thought last night. Do on the matching low. And then I want to talk about what happens if it goes up. Well, let's just assume that it goes down to only 30. Well, whether it goes down or not, it's irrelevant. We're talking about going up. In that, markets go up and it hits my last sell order, say at 52 or 50, yeah, whatever, 52, 53, whatever it is. Now I'll have no Doges here, and I'll have a whole bunch of Bitcoin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep my Bitcoin as is, and I'm going to put deposits in. And I'm probably going to start depositing. It doesn't take long to deposit. So when I got 2 orders left to go, I'll probably be like, okay, now it's time to put a deposit in. And then just keep going at it. Just keep selling because it's got to retrace at some point. And then I have to manage where I'm going to be buying. And then when it does retrace, I will have a limited amount that I'll buy on Poloniex. But then once it gets so high, especially when I'm depositing funds, how much am I going to buy? Well, how much do I want to sell? If I got this amount of Doge now, and I want to have 20% in, that means I can only have, say, this amount. So that's what I'll buy. With the rest of the Bitcoin, I'll just do something else with it, move it around as need be. So that's a strategy that I'm going to implement within it, see how well it works, and just move on from there. And let's finish this off within the Ethereum. We'll look at first the Ethereum against the US dollar, then we'll look at Ethereum against the BTC, and then we'll look at Ethereum against the LTC. I had 2 lines in here. One was key resistance, one was key support. They're not Fibonacci because the high would be like this high, breakdown high, which you could use, but I'm not a big fan of using this high if I'm looking at long term. I'm going to be doing different highs. So let's move this up somewhere where I'm guessing. Let's play the guessing game. Where's the 38? Where's the 61? Yeah, this is just for something fun to do. Okay, let me just go like this. There we go. Okay, so obviously we got, they usually end in key spots. I can usually tell pretty good. I'm going to go here. I think we're pretty much there right now. I like this. I'm going to go with 275.10 and press my luck, baby. Okay, so let's find out what this high was. Looks like it's in here. 1419.96. That's what I'll go with. Let's bring up the Fibonacci calculator and go 1419.96. I'm going to put it in by pennies this way because I want just for something to do the exact number, especially because I got pennies in. Although I was just kind of randomizing it, like to not randomizing it, but putting it where what looked right. So I just, but anyway. So let's just get the low in here. And a lot of times I'll just scroll because then I can pretty much see, well, it looks like it's this day here. And that day was $180, or no, $80. The L looks like the one. $80.60. Okay, drum roll, please. I don't know how to blurb that out like some people do. We got 241.15. I'm way off. 275. So it's pierced above it. I think it was 241.75. Let's test my memory now. That's a little of a different story. 15. Well, the 7 and the 1 kind of look the same. 474.60 is next. I'm way off again here. Calculators can do a much better job. Okay. But I gotta think there's so many people with amazing eyes that they can just tell what the like once they know what once they see what 61.8, they can figure it out. They can look in their heads and always see the distance from like even on a piece of paper where 61.8% of a retracement would be in line form, because that's how it's calculated when looking, of course, at the logarithmic chart. Okay, then it's broken past key Fibonacci. But now, just like I've been doing with Bitcoin, let's evaluate the situation in here. For if it's going to resist, I'd be expecting a comeback between even in the low 150s up to about in around 170s, even 176, 150 to 176. It would be the comeback area. That's where it came from. That would be the area of, well, let's take a look at the 23.6 number. That would be the number 241. No, it's 158.63, which to say was a big level. Yeah. I mean, why do they do that all the time? Seriously? Really? Let's put a line there as well. I'm not going to keep it. Although I should. Yeah, let's keep it. I'll even put the other one in. I mean, really, that's just too sick. Okay, so what did the market tell you here before? Well, I mean, this was relatively Bitcoin-esque. Like, it resisted its first level like this more times, but hits it, pulls back to 18. Because it was a long pullback, and it managed to go from this in like 2 days. It went from 116 to the 158. Here, it took a lot more than 2 days to go from that number to that same number. And then it took a lot more days to go back. Well, not really, because that was a couple days. But because it came here, but it resisted the 18 for one more leg lower, and then a great move to get back to it, piercing barely above whatever, and it successfully holds the 18. This is a type of indication in here every single day through March. Yeah, it's progressing well. And then here's that statement breakout point. And what does it do? It doesn't resist it, it supports it, and quite heavily. So instead of and that's when you should be getting support at that level after you resist it 3 different times. It's like, yeah. Okay, so then you come up, you reestablish this level of resistance so big that you pierce above it, pierce below it. Come back to the level of major resistance, which obviously turned out to be that of major support, especially with what led there after it. And then when it gets to this established level of resistance, what does it do? It congests and supports it for about 3 days or 2 days. And now, since this liftoff day, it has now been 3 days since breaking its intra move established resistance, and now, of course, getting above this 241.15 Fibonacci area. Okay, let's put in the next line. Let's go to match it up in here, because another way of doing this is I can put this at a smaller line differential from here, although this technically should be, what's this, 241.15? Should be matching with this. And then you can see the differential of what they might mean based on where they are, and maybe it might make it a little less messy. But getting above this level, you'd expect maybe like a pullback here, come back here, break, or maybe go stay through time here for a bit, congest within that area before getting to that high, or it just doesn't do any resistance and it goes right to previous high after that. Okay, then. So that is where we stand. And as far as its weekly term setup, and we'll do a short one as well before moving on to the other two crosses. The market, of course, band flattening out. Again, whether you establish resistance here, which I wouldn't, you almost have to do it here. So now, obvious bull market, as it has been now going through there. You're expecting at least one decent leg higher. You're expecting on its next pullback that the 18 is going to be a successful support for. If it's not, then that's a failed breakout. Oftentimes from a failed move can bring a fast move lower. In a situation like this, when a market has a point A high, point B low, breaks out above and then fails, then most likely you're going to make a lower low to whatever this previous one was. And then when you're talking about new moves, that's what these Fibonacci numbers come in handy. Okay, so how good is the move going to be? This is your next test. This is relatively tough. So is this. This one's not as tough, but you're climbing, and then the previous high is very tough. And then if you can do that, congratulations, you're making new legs, see an uncharted territory, and it's tough to really make monstrous moves there after that. But that's basically one way that I look at this within the retracement. And then, of course, it's going to retrace back at some point. And the higher you go, well, the more it's got to go. It's got to move to make what it's done into a failing situation. If this just starts to go down now, well, now we start to see it down to 132 in weakness. Then, okay, it doesn't look good. But if this is to rally, say up to say 578, then it's got to do more. I mean, it's got to start to show weakness down here at 200 to really say, yeah, it's over. This rally would be a failed move. So, okay, that is Ethereum against BTC. Let's now take a look at the markets again. Ethereum against there we go. So within the long-term weekly chart, it's just more of the neutralization, as what it needed to do for that is find support between the 275 and the 245 handle, and it did just that. Now it has managed to make a move on this weekly, barely piercing above the lows. It still has a long ways to go, of course. Despite the fact that it's doing magnificent against Bitcoin, it's still got a long ways to go on this bear market run. And getting above what it's established here, a double hit resistance in the area of about single 0386 or the 3865 handle is going to be, that would be the big breakout move. And when I see something like that, just like on the Ethereum resistance just like the Ethereum on the $241, excuse me, the $158 mark, that was a big level, not only because it was Fibonacci, but mainly because it had a lot of hits within it and successfully not breaking down after that, at least nothing too large. On the daily chart for this, obviously this is in a nice little breakout. It was in a decent bear market move, as it had a high volatile large grind its way move lower, because there really wasn't much. The only real correction was in here. It managed in a downtrend to get above this, so it has to hold the 18 lows. Doesn't do that, so you start to see thereafter it's near the lows. It's probably going to make a new low, and it did. Okay, now we're back into this again. You come to the resistance area. This is where I want to try to do something. I don't know how well this is going to work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the best that I can, the 18 average of lows and highs with my drawing tool. Close enough. That was bad. Nah, it was okay. So if there's an automated way of doing this, technically it would take a long time. I want to do a better line than that. I could do this on a spreadsheet. For you just need to know what the 18 average of uh, highs and lows is for both of the for the daily chart, so that you can stick it where it would look like on a 15. Now I'll just work with that. So the reason why I'm doing this is I want to look at this on the 4 hour, 1 hour, 15, whatever need be. And those, what will be really weird scribbly lines, will show me what the 18 average of highs and lows is on the daily term. So in the 4 hour, as we can see in here, it was at the low end of that 18 average, and it breaks down below it, resists it, unable to, of course, make it smooth. And then we can see here it comes up to the 18 average on this after leaving this one's in such a case. So now it lifts off higher. Now this is in an extended format, still is, hasn't even come close to touching it. But in here is where it got very, very interesting. And this is why I would like to have that type of situation. I know I can go with like an 80 period or a 200 period on here and do a long term, but I would rather, if I could, have a way of showing me whatever the 18 average of highs is on the daily time frame at that hour is what I want. And it can change hour to hour, which makes it magnificent because, well, what happens is the 18 average changes within its period. Well, when the market goes up, the 18 average of highs will go up if it's making new highs. And if it's making new lows, the 18 average of lows goes down. And, well, anyway, when you see that little setup in here, this is where the red candle period is where it comes back down to the 18 average of highs support. And then it would be rising. And, oh my goodness, just for something to do if I get bored, I kind of think, well, the calculation would be is on the daily data, you already know what the highs and lows are. So when you make new highs for the day, okay, what would the 18 average data be? You know there's 24 hours in a day, so you can your computer can automatically know which rows are days. Okay, rows number 100 through 123 is a day. 120 or 101 to 124. And then 125 to 148 is a day. So on and so forth. And I actually get data on Crypto Compare of short term if I take like the last like week data. So I might do that and then just show you how I spreadsheet and just to see what it looks like. Because I'd be kind of interested in it. Now, if I can only find a way of having it set up. So yeah, I'm on the 4 hour chart. I want to see how this looks with this time frame's 18 average as well. So I'm on even the 5 minute time frame. I want to see what the hourly 18 average looks like maybe. That would be pretty darn near cool. Okay, let's just remove all the drawings because I've seen exactly what I wanted to see. And you really can't see it as well without the 18 in here. All right, just for something quick, let's take a look at this on the 15-minute term time frame. So short term, it had a big level of support that it has breached and now resisted and now broken above. In at the 0.0319 handle, it broke down below this at 6 in the morning. It hit it twice, hit established support at 313. So yeah, what decent leg from this low is that? I mean, this is the whole three little bears thing. I want my porridge or my bed or whatever it is just right. I don't want it too big, too small, whatever. And in this case, too high, too low. And literally, when you're talking about going to like 316, that's too low. And if you're talking about going in one move to like 303, although it can do it, and it does do it a decently amount of times as well, that's too much. And this to me is just right. And then, of course, now this level of resistance or support here is resistance here. Then it is resistance, but it doesn't go down, and it's not resistance for that long, only within a couple of periods. Breaking out, significant break above it, and that's normal. You have a significant break of a key level, off you fly. So in doing so here, we can see that the key level was roughly around here, especially when you see how it hits this in this point as well. If we look at this on the 5 and then the 1, well, here, yeah, 1 hit here, 2 hit here, 3 hit here. There's that little bit of that pullback, not much, because it hits the 18 highs and off she goes. And on the 1 minute, how fast did it break that level of resistance? Not the greatest of charts, but it kept going green, 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 green over and over and over again. So if there was a situation at a roulette wheel where this is what you were betting on, is roulette the game where you have red, green, and numbers to 36? That's the game that I'm thinking about. I think it is roulette. But that's the game where you pick black or red and whatever, just two colors. If you were playing that game on, like, based on this up or down move per minute, and a casino could probably offer it if they wanted to, then this is where you in here when you break it. I'm going to bet green every single period, and you're like, oh my goodness, look how well it did, because the roulette wheel doesn't use any type of past history to determine next results in its sample sizes. No such doing. When you reshuffle the poker cards at a poker table, you play a new hand. What happened last hand does not matter anymore as far as how the results of the cards coming forward are going to be. When you flip a coin, as long as it's flipped properly, and it's never cares what happens before. When you play blackjack and they don't reshuffle the cards, well, that changes the possibility of the results. And in technical analysis of markets, you obviously know that in situations like that, I mean, what you're hoping, I mean, you're technically speaking, I mean, there's really two ways of profiting on it, and one of them is probably going to hit you well. And one of them is just like I stated, just green candles, and it just does so many of them. In this case, it did like what 8 in a row or whatever it was, and then it just stopped, and that's it. So you would have lost this bet, maybe lost this, won this, and at some point you hit the 18, you're like, I quit. Although right now in the 1 minute, it might be attempting to break out, but whatever on that. It's so 1 minute time frame. Anyway, the next one is when it just goes up, it breaks this resistance in like 2 or 3 minutes. That's it. Like two of them. It just goes from here to here instead. And of course, large green candles. And that one is betting on big moves. So if you bet big moves here per minute, you didn't do so well here. But now, as we look at this on the 1, this is where if you're a short-term trader, okay, now I want to see it hold and stay above this for a while. I mean, I really want to see this on a 20-second, 5-second time frame. And I mean, if you just buy now, maybe not the worst of decisions, but yeah, you see, it's probably going to break this high. And I might just want to stick with this here and see what happens, because now that it's broke this resistance, boom, it's live. Literally, I want to see this on the 4-second time frame. I really, really do. I can't. Is there a tick by tick some way? Or a tick by tick is another one. This is where a tick by tick is pretty cool, but there's got to be a place I could get a tick by tick on Ethereum. Do any of my trading software sites like Poloniex or Bittrex or any of that have that? I don't know. It's not getting too exciting right now because it's finished off this minute. And now we go into a new one. So, okay, the roulette wheel game. I'm betting green. I'm going to bet green. Let's see how it does. It's barely just gotten overextended, and it's red right now with 48 seconds to play. So while we wait 46 seconds, let's take a look at the exchange against LITECOIN. Not as much volatile on the 1 minute, so be it. But daily term, we're getting a retracement and a noticeable one. After finding support in here, the market started to roll down and is just, doing that. Key leg lower, yes. Back to where we came from, yes. Did this find any support within the 18 on this the 4-hour, 1-hour time frames? 4-hour? Oh, wait a second. That's weekly time frame. That would be the one I'd be thinking. Yes. I was reversed to how I was thinking on the movement. See, this is where you have like the 18. I could have the 18 on here. Now let's take a quick look. Actually, no, I'll wait till I'm done and see how the results of the Ethereum Bitcoin cross is afterwards. And assuming that it didn't, that the last period I was talking about didn't go down much, even if it did, as long as it's not too much, and it just I would normally be keep on betting green to bets for it to go up each minute. Okay, so now again, when we look at this on the weekly, and I mean, I don't really want to go anything else shorter than what I did before. We already had a retest of this previous high, and now which Fibonacci do I want to use? I would have to think this one. It's tough. Then you got this one here. Then you got data from before here. Regardless of the fact, key levels are going to be important if there's going to be any. It's made a move barely below the 18 on this weekly. That's enough at least to make this firmly go neutral, with the bias possibly of attempting to revert the trend because of its move. But for what it's worth right now, making a move too small, too big, too high, oh, way too small. So getting back above is nothing more than a pierce below. And a pierce can be a large one. Look how large this pierce was. Because it, even though, I mean, at one point you're like, okay, this is a good, and it is a key level of support after it hasn't been tested since. But when you are able to recoup a big move like this fast, get noticeably below the 18, and then have a big rally to get to the lows and hold and stay above it, well, that's exactly it, holding and staying above a key level. Because even though you go below it, how long did you stay below it for? How deep was the move going forward after that? How long? A couple periods. How deep? Yeah, a little bit, not much. Okay, so let's finish this video off. Let's go back to the cross here. See how we do. I don't know what the numbers were. I can see the handle that's at 326.7331, but drum roll, please. Okay. So a losing period here. Then I have two winners in a row. I've got 2 wins, 1 loss. Oh, I mean, this is a down minute, really. I mean, I'm looking to go 2 and 2 here. Maybe, maybe not. 34 seconds to play because it's got to get above this high. I really get one of my pet peeves on charts is having an open not where the last close was, because when I do spreadsheets and I do my markets for making candlesticks, okay, I guess it's going to be a winner now. What I'm doing is for open equals what the previous close was. To me, open should always be the previous close. I mean, technically the open is first trade after close. Now, that's really what it is. But here we have it. That is 3 winners in a row. And you're already looking good. I mean, even though this could be a red candle down to like 328. I'm counting that as a winner. But what we have seen is 3 wins and 1 losses at the roulette wheel. We could go 3 and 2. But there is just times you know that it's more likely for this to happen. Now let's gauge the size of this move. Is it past that too small? It's definitely not too big. And the answer to that is yes. Okay, point A. I mean, this is about the minimum I would want for it to be just right, or just getting past that level of being too small. Okay, thank you for tuning in. This would be a loser, by the way. That's just, even though it might be still be good bets, this is where I'd be like, okay, we could be having some decent retracements. Let's not bet this one. I had a record of 1 loss, 3 wins, 2 losses, so 3 and 2. So if I'm getting like a Vegas sports betting odds, I get like minus 110 maybe. I know with roulette they got the green colored ones so that they can give you even odds and take their rake. Alrighty, bye-bye.